Hey, I know I'm one of the only challenge runners who actually uses spirit ashes. Maybe I should be ashamed of that, but I did a run without ashes, and it wasn't as fun. Today, we'll do the opposite, leaning into the critiques of the spirit ashes carry baby gamers crowd, and let the spirit ashes do all the damage. But since other people have already done only spirit ash challenges, let's spice it up. And like everyone else who's run out of challenge ideas, we'll just do a Nuzlocke, I guess. One spirit ash per area. If the spirit ash dies, it's permanently dead. Let's go be the very best. To watch these runs live, follow me on Twitch. We're finding new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube. 100K is a big milestone for channels, and it would mean a lot to us if you helped us get there. Now, let's get started with only one goal: to be a master. A Pokemon master. Third run in a row starting as a prophet, but I have a feeling it's going to play a little bit different than Vike and the Black Knife. This isn't just Ash Ketchum, it's Spirit Ash Ketchum. There's so much variety in this game that you can do 3 very different runs with the same starting class. More importantly, we have a starter, the Fanged Imps, a little Minun and Plusle. They're the regional rock type variants, but we still love them. Anyway, Limgrave is a funny name for an area whose boss steals people's limbs. Crafting kit, horse and whet blade. Wait, why a whet blade? We can't do damage with weapons. Why would we grab something to change Ashes of War?
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
We'll grab the Strength tier too. There aren't a lot of useful physic tiers when you're not doing things yourself. Alex has to stay in his hole. We can't attack him. Hopefully he brought a snack, like a wandering noble or something. Still grab the Physic in the church, then Professor Ronnie gives us a Spirit Calling Bell to conjure our first Pokemon. This is a mistake. We'll talk about it later. There are better physic tiers under a tree, although the only one we can get any use out of is the stamina boost, so okay. Now imagine Pokemon in Fortnite. Legit, if Pokemon ever popped into Fortnite, it would be over. There would just be the most money ever, financial collapse, and evolution, as our current concept of currency is forever changed. Dectus 1, grab our pickle and head to the Dragon Barrel. I was investigating this interesting cliff and, oh no, a Knight's Cavalry fell. I guess we'll use those runes. Too bad, I really wanted to fight him. I'm about to start crying in the club right now, but instead I'll cry in the Weeping Peninsula. Just a bunch of things to pick up here: the Golden Seed, Sacred Tier, Faith Boosting Tier, that's something we can use, and another Sacred Tier. Then Grave Gloveworts 1 and 2 from the Tomb Sword Catacombs, and how about a third Sacred Tier? Now that's what I call crying. Fort Ferroth goes fine. We get the Dectus 2 and make it out alive without going to get the Beast Repellent Torch. More like the Maiden Repellent Torch, get some maidens and learn how to run. Speaking of, it's funny that the area with the big school is called Lernia. We can buy some smithing stones from a merchant before getting 2 fingers in a hole. Not from the merchant, it would be awkward to ask. Don't hit on people while they're working, especially if part of their job requires them to be nice to you. Grab the key for the school, but we're skipping class like it's the beginning of every Pokemon game and just warping through to the Bellum Highway. I don't need to learn how status effects work. I've been playing these games for 30 years. Thanks anyway. Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel is loaded with upgrade materials, but it's also loaded with miners. Hitting them is bad. They're union workers. I respect the union, but that also means they kind of just unload on us until we're dead. Second run though, we get to the bottom and just warp out without fighting the Crystallion. I think our imps could handle it, but there's no reason to risk it. I have all the 1s and 2s I need. The Ruin-strewn Oedipus is the best mother trucking level in the game, although without the ability to attack enemies, kind of makes me want to gouge my eyes out.
Hey!
You can't squish the goblins, they're just gonna chase you around the elevator. I know they're actually called Vulgar Militia, but they're goblins, and goblin is much shorter of a phrase. Imagine all the time I'd save calling them goblins across all these videos. It would almost make up for the time this explanation took. We have to break the bat's ankles, or I guess the bone that connects their wings. I don't know the name of that bone to make a joke, but I bet it would be humorous.
Hey!
A bigger bot bodies us off the ladder and we have to circle around again and make it to the top. Oh no, I forgot a stone. Stealth mission success. How did we make it through here without dying? I blocked lasers with my arm. That's not blocking. Your arm is part of you. Altus running around is getting to me, so let's go to all this. Grabbing the tier from the Eleonora Church is easier before Eleonora forces you off your horse. Then it's Gelmir time, where we get blown up by a geyser, killed by a bear we were baiting, and then our horse gets hit by a thorn sorcerer, so its health is low and it dies on the magma, and the magma worm hits us on the ground. Some very funny deaths on the way to Gelmir's hero grave. Inside, we have the movement to get around the chariots, but this page kills us. So many people suggest using Kukri to distract enemies, so let's try that.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Although, kind of mission success, we got the Grave Warts 6 and 7 we need. Down a big ladder, we can scoop up the Golden Vow spell from the Corpse Stench Shack. Then Anastia chases us up a ladder. I'm sure she'll de-aggro any second now. Just give it a minute or 3. Hey, why isn't she up the ladder yet? For whatever reason, she just keeps moving up and down the same 5 rungs when we're not on the ladder, but will climb when we're on the ladder. Here, let's help her. Just grab my leg. Babe, grab my leg. Grab my... Oh, whoopsie. Run invalid. You did damage.
Gonna cry?
Don't worry, I promise we won't use her butcher's knife. There are some grave gloveworts in the Caelid catacombs, but one is right next to the poison flower ashes. It's not the oddest of spirit ashes, but it is odd-ish, and we can do much better for Caelid. Carefully grab the weed and don't grab the weed. Does that make sense? Nurse Joy at the round table hold will level up our Pokemon, and Hugh says her eyes share the same hue as the last spirit tuner. Wait, all the spirit tuners look the same? Is that actually a Nurse Joy reference? I tell Corn Man to go to Altus. He sells us stronger healing there, but dang, he increased the prices. Inflation goes pretty hard in the lands between. Google Brother Corrin Elden Ring inflation on your work computer to find out more. It's okay. I'm sure we have enough healing power to get our imps through the abandoned cave. They don't even have to come out until the boss, the Clean Rot Knights. It's Hoopa and, I don't know, Cloister? Cloister kind of stabs things. I'm not sure if the Clean Rot Knight should be a Cloister, but I think she would like Cloister at the very least. This is our first fight with Minun and Plusle, and Bart and Lisa are going hard in the paint. They move in, they move out, slash up, then slash it down, then back up, back up. The unpredictable movements confuse the boss AI, while their little forks slowly stack up the bleed for giant chunks of damage. Of course, they're +7 at this point. There's nothing they can't do. Now we have the Golden Scarab Talisman to get more runes from future bosses, and enough money to buy Corn's upgraded healing spell, Great Heal. It's good. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say great, but we're using it for almost all of the run. For Margit, there's a rental Pokemon, Caldio. He's blue, he loves swords, and he makes blue aqua swords as well. He is also kinda ass. Like, he's pretty good if you're fighting Margit with him, since his Glint Blade Phalanx more than makes up for the extra stance defense Margit gets from summoning an ally. But if you expect him to solo, he's gonna let you down. Our healing is also not keeping up with him, so time to die. Okay, what if we try mixing this rental with our Minun and Plusle? It goes better, but to be honest, we didn't need the rental. Bart and Lisa hard carry the damage. Roger sort of just gets locked in a corner and beaten mercilessly. I guess that means he did his job? His job is just getting beaten up.
He should call himself Ass Kick instead.
Alright, if Pokemon are going to get their asses kicked, we need to step up our potion game. How about some faster potion casting? For that, it's Raya Lucaria time, and the Red Wolf of Radagon is blocking the talisman we need. Fighting Zacian as our third boss might seem a little crazy, and it is. He pretty much can just delete our HP whenever he feels like it, since I was a silly goose and I invested in faith first. I figured if we die, it's no big deal. It only matters if our Pokemon die. Applying Golden Vow is also a bit tricky, but when we can get it off, that extra damage and defense make Minun and Plusle even better. It also helps that they scaled Zacian down to our level by throttling his HP. Legendary Dog defeated. Now we can use the Radagon icon for faster healing casting. Before we go for some stronger bosses, I want to get more money. Money comes from Patches, but Patches is blocked by Nerd Juice. We die because Yura doesn't show up right away. Next attempt, we push Nerd Juice down enough with rejection that Yura will show up. Now, Yura is a skilled warrior, and him and Nerd Juice should be pretty evenly matched. With us healing Yura, surely he will win this duel.
Why are you the way that you are?
Did you know that you can just run away from Nerd Juice and the door to Patches will open? That's pretty cool. Patches is a basic ass NPC with a shield that can't block the bleed chip, so we'll just summon the imps and oh, there's no summoning here. So we can't deal damage to Patches and can't get his bell bearing till Rykard is dead. That means no pickles this time. Well, other than the ones on the ground, like this one in Limgrave. Surely this is gonna be the worst thing that happens this run.
All it was just a break in the wall.
There's a party at Pokemon Stadium and we're invited. It's so cool Nintendo added it to the Switch, but wait, if you can't transfer your Pokemon from the other games, how do you play? Well, you use more rentals, of course, and the rentals here are not blockbusters, but fortunately for us, they can't die in a way that matters. They're not in our party. You don't lose the Pokemon from Pokestar Studios in a Nuzlocke. It's just like a thing you have to do to progress the game. So we bring in Golem, Bisharp, Suicune, Audino, Bronzong, and Tinkaton. If you can figure out which one is the summon, good for you. You win a prize in the comments. Definitely click any link you see replying to you about a prize. That's just a good idea in general on the internet. This should be free, but alas, I invested in my faith to heal instead of vigor. Always do vigor first, because we also have to live for the fight to work. Radon's hitboxes are really big. That's an issue. Let's try something else. There's a rental we can use for O'Neill. Pollyanna, or Lorantis, I guess. She's like flowery and slicey. She's also not very good, or at least not good enough to solo O'Neill and all his goons at the same time. Now, if we had a little more health, we could live more than one hit from Radon. Naturally, the plan is to go fight a boss that hits harder than Radon in the Divine Tower of Caelid. Love this guard who's blocking the elevator on the lip of the column. They should put up a railing. OSHA cannot be happy about this. Rejection works wonders. We can just kind of push him off. And we didn't kill him. Gravity did. Well, the floor did. Gravity brought him there. We brought him to gravity. At the bottom is the Godskin Apostle, which is weak to slashing and bleed. The imps deal slashing damage with bleed. It's super cool. It really seems pretty doable, as long as we don't take a single stray hit. Every stray hit one-shots us, so our options now are a boss that will one-shot us with a stray hit, or a boss that will one-shot us with a stray hit.
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
Good time to clarify some rules. For spirit ashes that summon multiple creatures, their souls are entwined, meaning if one dies but the other lives, the spirit ash has not died yet. Otherwise, I just kind of have no way to control it. I guess it's meaner if I make them die, and the meanness is kind of the point of the challenge, but I also want like a chance of winning. This is already hard. This is what we're doing. If you don't want this, you can change the rules when you do this, but also don't do this. It sucks. I did it so you don't have to. We die a bunch, quit out a bunch of other times, especially when it uses the Black Flame Tornado. That shit just deletes Spartan Lisa's health. Then we go back to Radon. At least it takes longer to die here, but that's also bad. Time is one of my metrics for success. Okay, little idea. Maybe if we buy the Knight set from the Round Table Hold, we can have enough defense to live one hit. It kind of works against the Godskin Apostle, but even getting to take 2 hits isn't great against a combo master like the Apostle or dual wielder Radon, who has a bunch of hits that are actually 2 hits. Generally, if one imp dies, we just quit out. Minun and Plus will really need that ability boost they get when both of them are out. With the Knight set though, they are dying before we are. Is that progress? Well, why don't you go fight Godric? You know what? That's a good point. Why haven't we fought Godric? Hey, Gostok, look at how cool this rejection spell is. Bomp, bomp, bomp. That really floored him. Had him on the edge of his cliff and he fell off and died. Danger path. I never fight anything here anyway, and then we can just bring the imps to fight Machamp. Dude has so many extra arms. Hey, Corey, hit the arms music. Never played it, but the soundtrack rips. Machamp can bleed, that's cool, but his big shockwaves can counter one of the best parts of Minun and Plusle, the weird dancing they do. All their diving in and out doesn't help against an earthquake. Guess that means it's super effective. Old Bart and Lisa are prepared though, and they take him to phase 2, which we actually see for once. It's weird to watch this phase happening instead of just like skipping it by killing him instantly. Machamp mega evolves into a dragon fighting type? Rad. Too bad he didn't boost his HP because that dude's toast. We'll use the runes to push our seal up. There are upgrade materials to get it to like plus 19-ish before going into the Royal Capital. It's kind of a pain to get after plus 12, but life is hard, and so am I. So we go into the sealed tunnel, fall, and die. I'm digging in deeper than usual. There's Smithing Stone 5s in here. Those are good, but we dug too deep and too greedily. And now we have to fight an Onyx Lord. But much like Onyx in Pokemon, he's terrible. Even though he should be good against Minun and Plusle, he's just kind of nothing. Like, you know, it's done. So those are some runes. I could talk about Altus Tunnel, but we just dipped in. It doesn't matter. And it got killed on our way out. Okay, so if you're counting death, it does matter a little bit. Now we're up to plus 16 for our seal, and that means plus 16 for our heal. Show me that bigger healing! I died again. Well, with a bit more health and a bit more healing, we're getting a bit closer to winning a bit more consistently. The real upgrade is to my immaculate gamer gameplay. After so much practice, I figured out where I can sit safely to heal behind Radon without getting absolutely deleted. And we have more health, so occasionally we can live a hit. Still die a bunch. This run is so close, but I have no more flasks. Thankfully, Theralina is here. For whatever reason, her AI is programmed to follow you around like a lost puppy, even when Radon is smashing the shit out of everyone else. But that's good, because surely she will heal me. Theralina.
I can't do it on command.
He can't do it on command.
Eventually we just get a bag of popcorn and watch the other spirit ashes do it. We're finally through the wall. And now, we even have vigor. The Mimic tier is kind of a joke boss fight. I mean, what kind of loser would use Ditto strats? I think it's kind of funny to use Rejection though, just kind of push him around.
I wanna push you down.
Okay, can I just say this song was featured in a recent movie I won't mention because I'm not a scab, and I know the takeaway wasn't supposed to be that the song is good. I don't think that the song is good, but it has been locked in my head for a month, and I cannot get it out. Stream 2 starts and we aren't in the royal capital. Great sign! I push that Nox around to get the Ditto. Only a true gamer would use Ditto. Forget what I said a minute ago. Finally go get the Limgrave encounter. We fight the Chad Warden duelist. It's an early boss and the imps can tangle with Dragon Bearer bosses. Not win, but they tangle with them. We're rewarded with the Engval Ashes, except I am a fool. Because we got the Bell from Ronnie, we also got the Wolves. The Wolves are our Limgrave encounter. I wanted to get her done with Engval, but it looks like I might be a goofball. Instead of calling spirits, I'm calling the blues. I guess you could say I'm a blue caller. Well, we still have an encounter in the Weeping Peninsula. If you want a ghost, sometimes you have to fight one. Same thing happens to the Cemetery Shade that happened to the Duelist. We're overleveled, we win to get Utel's Spirit Ashes. Will we ever use this Golurk? Probably not, but it's nice that she's here. Maybe she can drive the Caria Manor. Do you say Caria or Caria? It's probably Car, like Ryalucaria. Ryalucaria sounds a little southern. Loretta can't bleed, but she also struggles to hit the imps. Her glaive hits about 4 feet away from her, and the imps are short and like to be right next to her. The Haligtree Loretta can bleed, so the imps would be great against her. Definitely still going to be using them late game. Can't see these little fellas falling off. Check back in with the professor and her crew in the tower. Then we go back underground and get our first great ghost glove wort, but we don't need any of that just yet. Let's hit the tree sentinel of the draconic variety. The imps get first pass at it. I figured it might be similar to the Loretta fight, but forgot about the tree sentinel's big AoE hitboxes. Those pretty much instantly break the imp's stance and stop them from moving, so they just get hit by another attack right away. Not going great. Let's quit instead. Ronnie pops open the path to the Incel Rivermane, and there's a lot of ghost wort in here. Also, a lot of Nox sisters who kill us when we try to get the Nox sister ashes, or a Grimer that makes you jump off a cliff, or a ball that rolls up to you and stops you from moving, but then doesn't roll back to hit you again. Normally you could just hit them, like just a punch to the balls, kick to the balls, unleash whatever kind of tool you want to move the balls, but we can't do that. I have to use a creative technique for this ball and quit out. It's called Creative Ball Technique, or CBT for short. I'm not going to get on the technical side of why it works, so why don't you just Google CBT on your work computer to learn more.
Stop.
Also, there's no more glove wart behind these waterfalls. Bad game design, we died again. Imps weren't working, maybe we need a new Pokemon. Back to the Gelmir hero's grave, where we hit the real movement. Sick movement, making it down to the bottom without dying. Feels great. That's why it's time to die. While we didn't die on the way down here, we did have to use some flasks. Letting the dog kill us resets our flasks with the stake of Merrick outside. Zacian has gotten a little bit of a health boost since the Ryalucaria version, but it's not that big of a deal. Imps beat the dog, and we get a new dog, the Bloodhound Knight, Flo. They get 9 glove warts. I'm not dropping the great one here. I've got other plans for those. 9 is a bigger number than 7 though, and Flo already costs twice as much mind as the imps, so surely Flo will do better against the Tree Sentinel. No, not at all. He just gets dunked on, stance broken, and bodied. Try again and die. Twice. New idea. There's an Ash of War called Prayerful Strike, which heals you 30% of your HP when you hit. And the Mimic has 3.3 times our HP, which would basically mean it's going to heal about 1200 HP every single time.
I will never die.
Slight problem. The Ash of War is locked in an invisible teardrop scarab, and we can't hit it. Not at this price point. There are some big-ass Pokemon in the area. Sure, we don't have the badges to train them, but maybe we can bait them down. First beast I try is the Ulterated Tree Spirit by the Giant Crusher. You probably know it didn't work because I said the first one I tried is the Ulcerated Tree Spirit. Why would I try another one if it worked? This one starts warping out really early. We barely get it halfway to the beetle. Next, we try the Gargoyle, and it really gargles nuts. First off, it kills us so much better than the Tree Sentinel does. It has a roar that knocks us off the horse, and then it just combos us on the ground. After taking strays for a while, we die, I give up, and we will not be using Prayerful Strike. Oh, and in case you were wondering, rejection does not break the scarab, it just kind of pushes it around. Maybe it's time for another new Pokemon? We're kind of just spinning our wheels, but there is an encounter in the Saoirse Ronan Riverwell. I'm pronouncing that wrong, but at least I'm teaching you how to pronounce Saoirse Ronan. Light some torches, pick up 3 free gold pickles on the ground, and then we can fight the Ancestor Spirit. This is the non-remembrance version. It's pretty much the same, just less health and damage. Flo gets to show off here a little bit, and good for him. I guess dog type is super effective against deer type. Ancestral Guardian Spirit Ash unlocked. I guess that Tauros has a bow and arrow now. Can't wait to hang out with him for a long time. Other idea, remember that whet blade we picked up? Let's use it. First, bait the bear for some more smithing stones outside the Ariza Hero's Grave. This one really agrees with me a little bit more. Then, inside the Ariza Hero's Grave, we get killed by a flamethrower that we built after successfully navigating the chariots. It's fine. Coming back, the chariots explode and we get the Tree Sentinel set, which is a very good set of armor, and more importantly, the Holy Ground Ash of War for shields. It's an Ash of War that deals no damage, so we can use it. Why is the Tree Sentinel set inside 2 chariots in the bottom of the Ariza Hero's Grave when there are no Tree Sentinels in here? No idea. If you know, let me know. A lot of you told me cool Vike lore last week when I asked how the fingerprint set got burned. I love hearing cool lore stuff I actually don't know, instead of the same shit about Radahn's melee phase 6 times every time I post. Alright, let's try the Tree Sentinel again and show off Holy Ground. It's got a unique buff in a little circle that raises defense of friendly creatures by 30% and stacks with Golden Vow, since that's an aura buff. It also heals creatures 17 HP per second. The caveat is it is a wicked small circle that both bosses and our Ashes of War won't really give a toot about. Also, takes about 3 seconds to put out, and I had to get used to that. However, this is what makes the difference. When we, or more accurately when Bart and Lisa, can get the Tree Sentinel in a corner, we can get this up and have them healing automatically super fast, while taking stacking defensive boosts, less amounts of damage per hit. Does that make sense? It's enough to give them enough time to bleed the Tree Sentinel out and take out another one of our bosses. God, the imps are really pulling their weight better than anyone else here. It's just another Nuzlocke where the starter hard carries the entire time. Honestly, I'm just happy we made it through another wall. What's next?
Another one. Another one. Another one.
Let's invest in the Mimic tier because it's the Mimic tier and I'm not stupid. Y'all know it's the strongest Spirit Ash. It's the most flexible Spirit Ash. It's the best at getting status effects out. It's the tankiest. It's the best in every way. First, we'll put Catch Flame on it from Corn. Then it can go toe to toe with an Erdtree avatar in Lindell. Normally, I like to grind against these and Putrid avatars, but I know Spirit Ashes fucking suck at fighting them. They are great to grind against in a normal playthrough since their attacks have been telegraphed since, I don't know, the Asylum Demon in Dark Souls, but the Spirit Ashes?
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Honestly, I'd be kind of fine with that, but when you fight the Mimic tier, it spams rolls like a Royce. That's a lot. Remember when we tried to beat the Mimic tier with a bow in the instruments only run? Why did you forget how to do that? It's fine. It almost gets pushed out of existence and starts blinking, but it wins, so we get the free Lord's Rune for 50,000 runes worth of leveling. If our Ashes can't dodge, maybe we can get one who blocks. The Sainted Hero's Grave has our ideal shield on. Had to heal next to this Royal Revenant and it took damage? So strange, the game must be broken. I don't think any Elden Ring creators know about this amazing thing you can do with the Royal Revenants. We have to bait the Grave Warden Duelist into the Swords of Revealing Light to stop monsters on the field for 3 turns. Actually, it just makes them vulnerable to damage we can't do. But if we could just bait it further into the guillotines, we'd open the path to the boss and our Spirit Ash. Maybe if it was just the Duelist we could handle that, but unfortunately there's also a bunch of little imps. And we all know the power of the imps, so I kind of give up on this. Maybe we'll come back later. Just a lot of desperate moves here. Ariza Side Tomb for the Sold Jars of Fortune, a very cool Spirit Ash I've never gotten a chance to use before, but never mind. I hate this dungeon, and maybe want to come back for the Shield Boy from Ariza later for our Altus encounter, so yeah, I don't know. Try the Godskin Apostle again now that we have Holy Ground? It goes bad, we quit out. Try it with Flo, that goes worse. Why is he worse than the imps? Oh my god. Wait, Flo's aggro works differently than other Spirit Ashes. He's rabid and just starts fighting stuff. So if we bring him out against the Grey Old Dragon, he'll start swinging. No, he didn't do that. Okay, that sucks. Alright, let's get the Ritual Shield Talisman to take less damage from the first hit and head into the Godfrey Shade's room. Then immediately cowbung into a pit because I thought there was a floor there. That's my bad. Imps get first crack. They just keep impressing me, but the ground slam from the Shade is super effective, instantly breaking their stance in a wide arc. We keep our heals up, but they're not keeping up with the damage. Death Abuse to get our flasks back at the stake. and then do it again. Is this Billy and Mandy? Because boy, we are straight up abusing death. Flo does worse, just getting donked right away. Why doesn't Flo just use his teleport to dodge these hits? Is he stupid? Kinda worked when we got it into the corner, but not really. Flo was losing, so that's the opposite of working. That's, I don't know, CEOing. Fudge it, let's level up the Mimic, and get it a great weapon like the Great Stars. For some reason, I thought you had to stop the Giants from walking with a hit. Nope, you just walk up to the back of the carriage and grab it. Security has really gone down the tubes in Altus. Great Stars heal 1% of your HP every hit. The Mimic has 3.3 times our health, so it's healing 3.3% of our max health when it hits, which would be really great if we had the strength for it. We do have the stats for the Black Knife, which is a pretty fantastic weapon. Flo can go toe-to-toe with this Black Knife Assassin to get it, but then she goes too far out, she teleports back in, and, breaks. The game is acting so weird for this run. We unplug the Black Knife Assassin and plug her back in. Flo wins the battle, and we have the Black Knife for the Mimic. Turned it up to +6, should be good enough. I don't want to spend many more runes than that. The Mimic makes the mistake of thinking the Black Knife is a knife, when really it's a pistol. You gotta spam that Ash of War, my guy. Quit out, max out the knife after pushing a beetle around to get a Somber Stone 8, and then remember a great feature of the Mimic tier. It has posture, not posture. As a typical human-type creature, the Mimic can't be stance broken unless someone breaks its shield guard, but it's not going to be guarding. Its immunity to being broken down means we can just summon it in a corner, throw down Holy Ground to boost its defense, and we'll heal it faster than Goldfree can kill it, while it puts out the damage. Flo was trapped in the corner with Goldfree. Goldfree is trapped in the corner with the Mimic. Summoning it in the right place is the ticket. We get the win and we can move on to our next wall. Yeah, it's just kind of one wall right into another. This run's not going great. We've got some big money bosses coming up, and I'd really like pickles. So maybe if I join Volcano Manor, Patches will just chill? No. I think you really have to beat Rykard. Maybe I'm wrong, you can tell me, but it's already too late. The run is done. Someone in chat said I should just go summon for Patches.
My goodness, what an idea. Why didn't I think of that?
So I sarcastically went to show them and was punished for my impatience by another nerd juice invasion when we left the cave. I deserved that. Our healing is actually good enough to let Euro win this time, so now our Mimic can use the Reduvia. Obviously, that's what I was there to do. Flo shits the bed against Morgott, a dude who has definitively shit the bed. To be fair to him, if you live in a sewer, your bed is probably made out of shit. It's like, I don't know, frosting an already frosted cake, but the frosting's poop and the cake is also poop. Quit out. Imps should have gotten the first pass, and god damn it, why are they so good?
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
We died, but that's on me. Second attempt, Morgott keeps trying to grab them in phase 2. They don't work like that, my guy. Our healing is enough to keep them happy and healthy. They get a little close every now and then, but it's not a big deal. After some of the walls, I'm considering Morgott a big success. Are you sick of my radical lefty political takes in the 4 Biden lands like mental health care is a good investment, or arresting people for possessing drugs legal in other parts of the country is probably bad? Well, guess what? I'm sick of the 4 Biden lands and having to run through them every time I play this game. There should be term limits for how long long stretches of the game can be. I don't know what I'm saying. Mountaintops of the Giants time, and then immediately back down to Limgrave for an easy Dragon Heart. Charizard is the easiest dragon in the game. Tauros has a bow and should just be able to dome him over and over again until he finishes. Google Tauros giving Charizard dome until he finishes on your work computer. Only issue is Tauros gets killed? First death of the run. Rest in spaghetti. I'll never forget it. The time we brought you out against a Geel without leveling you up and you died. Flo comes out and he's +9, but it still goes kind of poorly. Spirit Ashes are not good at fighting dragons. They can't keep up with the flying, and hypothetically, the dragons could just fly infinitely away and hit with the ranged breath attack. Flo is faster than most and is able to take a Geel down. We'll cash that heart in for a Rot Breath. Basically, we're getting percentile damage for the Mimic tier because otherwise the Fire Giant is just going to keep smashing the smoosh out of anything we summon, rolling away, and winning. Not entirely dissimilar to why dragons are a problem. Safe Path of Stormveil, we get another free gold foot and the Godskin Prayer Book for the Black Flame spell. Normally, using fire against the Fire Giant might seem like a bad idea, but this is like Fire Spin in that it also does percentile damage. Everything in this game dies to 50 Black Flames, no matter what the resistance is. I guess Rykard has 2 phases, so he's 100, but everyone else is is 50. Upgrade the seal, then go to the Giant Conquering Hero's grave for the last grave gloveworts we need. God, I just realized all the heroes' graves have grave glovewort. How did I not catch that before? Anyway, healing activates the columns. I have no idea if that's useful for any run that isn't specifically this, but maybe that's interesting to you. Technically, healing spells have to have a hitbox to hit things. They heal with the healing. Basically means it's reverse damage. We died on the way out, but we got everything else we need for max imps. Max imps we won't use against the fire giant, but gosh darn it, if anyone deserves to be maxed out, it's the imps. They've been pulling their weight, and also some of Flo's. Time to fight the most important fire boss, the Godskun Apostle in the Divine Tower of Caelid.
Why do you hate us so much?
Because it's fun.
It's actually pretty bad still. Oh, we do have Blessings of the Erd Tree. It's a healing over time effect for 12 HP per second. Stacks with Holy Ground because Holy Ground is a unique buff, so that's 29 healing per second. Not sure if that matters. Its only job is to stop the imps from dying, but I don't know if it ever did that. I think our active healing is always what does that. Still can't finish this, so never mind. Let's try a less important boss, the Fire Giant. The Mimic doesn't get a single hit in, but that's my fault. I summoned him too far back. I need to get next to those toes before spraying a gooey version of myself. It's still not working. He just aims for the torso instead of the ankles. He's dumb as bricks. Let's get him a weapon. He won't be able to screw that up. I forgot to put red flasks on for the Lake of Rot, but it's okay. We just keep healing and it outpaces the damage. On the other end, we can grab the Scorpion Stinger. It's a knife that can put the Rot status effect on. Power stance it with the black knife, and it really doesn't get a fair shot because I got flattened while menuing. Even on our fair shake, though, the Mimic is not hitting enough to get the Rot to activate and gets cooked. Actually, he gets flattened. Fire damage isn't a problem. It just loves getting hit by every single hit of the 3-hit combo. Bonk, bonk, bonk. How did you forget to dodge?
The doctor said you had a blood clot the size of a grapefruit. 5 more concussions and you'll die.
Let's try rentals again. Talk to Alex at the Radon fight, do it again in a hot tub, and now we can bring him in against the Fire Giant. This is a weird rental. It doesn't actually give the Fire Giant more health. I guess that's nice. He does some damage, can tank hits pretty well. Eventually I bring the Mimic out too, forgetting that if you have a helper summoned, you can't quit out. Good thing I died. We're so close, so obviously we just have to fight the Godskun Apostle again. I just want it because I want runes. And hey, after quitting out one more time, it's time for a winning run. We even come in with a hit from the Black Flame Monk outside, but we go to our corner, summon our imps, and vow them up. They take quite a few hits right away, especially Lisa. The windmill attack is honestly worse in phase 1, since the phase 2 version just pushes through the imps after a couple hits. We're in phase 2 pretty quickly. Bard is at full health, Lisa is at half. She almost dies, but I am spamming Great Heal like it's my job. It is my job, actually. I get paid for this. With enough spam, she can get back up to half while Bart is taking the aggro. Then, the big long windmill attack that's worse than it was in phase 1. Black Flame Tornado puts them both really low. I could quit out, but I believe in them. Heal spam for the win. They get back up to half just in time for another Black Flame Tornado. Only a few more hits is all we need. There it is. Finally, we beat the rival and can use those levels for enough arcane to cast Rot Breath against the Fire Giant. See, there was a reason to do it. It wasn't just a weird obsession I had. Back at it again, and the Mimic is standing so far away now. God, buddy, you gotta get in there. Wait, he tries to stand near me, so actually I guess I have to get in there and die. Next try, I run in and summon the Mimic by the toes before going back for Alex on horseback. The Mimic has not landed a single hit while we did that.
Go girl, give us nothing.
But then it actually starts landing some of the Rot Breath and some Black Flame. We make it to phase 2, and honestly, it's an easier phase. We have the Flame Drake Talisman +1 on us and the Mimic, which is around 18% fire resistance, I think, off the top of my head. I'm not looking it up, sorry. Not sure why the Tree Sentinel armor actually has good fire protection too, but who cares? Seems like a tree would be bad, but someone in chat suggested they defend the trees, so yeah, I guess they need good fire resistance. Rocket's applied and does huge work. It runs its full course, which will do 29.7% of a box's max HP, plus an additional 1,170. Dude takes enough of his own health off when he rips his leg off that the Rot is pretty much just gonna end the fight. Fire Giant dead, and that's the end of Stream 2. Surely Stream 3 is gonna be great. The longest single run thus far is the Broken Weapons run. Check it out, it's a very good video and I think it was underviewed. But we also spent about 16 of the 20 hours just being walled by the Godskin duo. Right outside their arena we have two obvious solutions. First, the Beastmen of Faramazula. Godskins are weakest to lightning and slashing damage. Both the Beastmen have both of those damage types. It's a quadruple solution. Second, Bernie. He has strike and fire damage, the two types of damage the Godskins resist the most. But his hammer hits so hard that they stop moving. And if he can get his Ash of War off, he can tank up to heal himself. We do need to level the Beastmen first though, so we'll dip into the Giant's Mountaintops Catacombs. Lots of good Graveworts in here, a secret elevator, ooh, and traps. If we just get clumsy enough, we can trip over all the traps to make them hit the enemies. Deep in the basement, we get the Fire Monk Ashes. It's kind of basic, but there's a lot more stuff coming up weak to fire damage, so decent encounter for the Mountaintops of the Giants. Could be a solid backup. It takes us forever to find the Glovewort we actually need. This is one of those gaslighting dungeons that's meant to trick you. It's really annoying, but we do not die, even when I accidentally backstep off the elevator. Nobody saw that. Now our Beastmen are +9, and after spending 20 minutes leveling them up, they're going to be here for a long time. Bernie in first, then the Beastmen. They're taking on Skinny while Bernie takes on the Chunky, and they're doing great. A little too great, because when Skinny goes into phase 2, he pops the Black Flame Tornado. It's an old classic that our +7 gargoyles could handle against the stronger Apostle at the bottom of the Divine Tower of Galed. But they are simply built differently, and because we've summoned Bernie, we can't quit out. At least we could still win if Bernie lives. He does not. So RIP Beastmen, you died for nothing and you wasted a lot of time. Maybe we shouldn't risk the Mimic, but it has something even better for the duo. Rot Breath. Each of the duo can be rotted separately. When they respawn, their rot resistance isn't increased, so yeah, it kinda just melts them. Sorry that the Mimic tier is just the best, but it's the best. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. At least the Godskin duo wasn't a wall this time. That's a nice change of pace. And with that final bale bearing, we're able to max out our casting seal. I almost failed the swag jump. I know some of you really care about that in the comments, so don't worry, Cube. I quit out and then landed it without dying. Bird run next. Avoid the lightning, get the somber stone to make the dragon fly away. Mission success. Next mission goes worse. Opening the Lord's Talisman chest. We end up at the bottom of a dog pile, then come back with an open chest and run out. The Pokemon I want for Malekith is right next to the Forbidden Lands, but it's technically our Lindell encounter, or it could be the Biden Lands encounter. There isn't an encounter in the Biden Lands. I don't know what you count this bridge as, but it's one of the two. The Fell twins are blocking what we need, but we have our own twins, Bard and Lisa. Together, they can do anything, until they split up and start getting killed. I just got killed, so they don't die. I love them more than I care about myself. For everyone counting deaths, by the way, that's number 69, baby. Next attempt, they're better at sticking together. For a second or two, then they break apart and I have to table tennis across the battlefield. Works great though. We get Rolo, we level up Rolo. Only to +9 right now. We need a 10 and I'll get one from the ballroom. When you open the chest, a big ball drops from the ceiling and the door locks behind you. Uh-oh. Turns out though, you can just quit out and then the door opens again. Bamboozled again. I'm smarter than balls. Time for Malekith. You can't summon any rentals in here, but we have Rolo. He has giant axe cleavers, fire breath. It's just a Capra Demon homage, or a Cleavor homage from Pokemon Arceus. It came out like a month before Elden Ring though. I'm guessing it's Capra Demon. He does fine in phase 1. Phase 1 is not the problem. Phase 2 Malekith and his ridiculous damage over time are the biggest wall we've faced so far. Rolo gets messed up by it, so we quit out. Get used to that. We have to quit out every time or the Draconic Tree Sentinel will shoot us with fire and distract our Spirit Ash. I'll give Rolo another shot, but we make it to phase 2 again, and it's not happening. The Mimic does a little bit better, but not much. Really, it just gets to phase 2 with more health than Rolo did. It also gets melted in phase 2. Might as well go get a few more runes from the Dragonkin Soldier in the Incel River. It's not the main area of the river, but it's just as well. Rolo does a good enough job, but it's slow enough that we actually get to see some of phase 2, a rarity. This guy's kind of cool. Like, the Frostbite Lightning AoEs aren't cool, that sucks, but the moves look cool. The boss looks cool. It's cool. We get Frostbite Lightning as a spell, but what we really want is the Great Ghost Glovewort, and enough runes to go big brain mode.
This is big brain time.
First, use all those runes to buy Stone Sword keys, then use the keys to open up the path to Alexander, who we can't fight. That's not big brain, but there's a Lord's rune, so our 12k runes for 3 Stone Sword keys become 50,000 runes. That's big money moves. Then we can buy another Stone Sword key, spend those 2 to open up the Spirit Caller Cave, and buy a lantern for you sicko lantern enjoyers. It was late afternoon, sun was coming in from the window, caves are harder to see. If you ever see me buy a lantern in a run, you can guess what time of day I'm playing. There's a bunch of runes in the cave that will instantly pay for what we lost by buying the keys, and then we put Rollo up against the Godskin. Boo! The Godskins are immune to bleed. It's the hardest rival fight yet. Let's be honest, the Godskin Apostle is the Gary Oak to my Spirit Ash Ketchum. And he beats Rollo's ass before the Chunky can even come in, so we run away. Let's fight a different Godskin instead. Through Volcano Manor Town, we open up the shortcut and have Rollo fight the Godskin Noble. This one can bleed, so we do a little bit better. Still not great. Rollo has been kind of a disappointment, but at least we win. Now let's get better healing. Looting the fortified manor, we get the Seedbed Curse we'll need later, and the Two Fingers Prayer Book, then bring that to a half Pokemon, half man, Bill. Let's call him Bill. Lord's Heal is a slightly bigger heal than Great Heal. Heals for about 40% more, but also costs so much that we only get 2 heals out per flask. So after all that time, we're just gonna stick with Great Heal. More grinding. The stronger we get, the stronger the Mimic gets. Let's grind in the sewer. Talk to Wheezing. Get the key to let him out. Avoid the troll for the ladder, then hit the bottom, or as I call it, Lobster Town. Generally, kind of a nightmare, but I've gotten pretty good at avoiding enemies without fighting them. The Moog Shackle will let us stun Moog later, and we even bait the lobsters to kill a beetle for an extra Somberstone 7 if I want it later. Obviously, we're gonna use the Shackle more to make Sewer Moog free. Corey, show everyone how it works. We do summon Wheezing, the stinky boy. He debuffs Moog to take more damage, which kind of just balances out to be the same amount of damage he would have taken if we didn't summon. He does not survive the fight, but who cares?
It's a rental.
Mimic wins and we get some good stuff. Access to the Deep Root Depths, the Erdtree Favor +1 for 3.5% more HP, 8.25% more stamina, and 6.5% more equip load. While the Mimic can't get buffed by Physic Flasks or Rune Arcs, it does benefit from Talismans. That's a pretty decent one. Even if those percentages sound small, a little bit of equip load can get a bit more armor on. And 3.5% HP is actually closer to 12% HP for the Mimic. We need more Smithing Stones. Remember when I said I wouldn't kill the Crystallion?
I lied.
Or I guess, no I didn't. Rollo does. And he goes slow as hell. Like, dude, it is a Crystallion. Why do I need to heal you? If I didn't heal him, I think you would have lost to the Lernia Crystallion. Lots of good stuff in the Dragon Barrow Cave, like a bear that wants to eat us, or the Bull Goat Talisman, which raises our poise by 25%. Quit out to avoid the wolves, then summon Rollo. He doesn't aggro right away, so we sneak in to get him closer to the smaller of the 2 Beastmen. It seems like Rollo heard me talking shit, because he is flattening that little one down, while we have the big boy chasing us. It works great, he goes for the big boy next, and we get the Flame Drake Talisman +2. That's 20% fire resistance. Oh, and a bunch of runes. This is a Dragon Barrow boss. If you can't tell, we're accumulating power right now. Lindell Catacombs next. It's a Gaslight dungeon. Rollo makes a meal out of Esker and his 2 dogs, and we get the Lord of Blood's Exaltation Talisman, boosting the Mimic's damage by 20% after it makes something bleed. Rollo, continue your redemption arc and take out Commander O'Neill. Okay, this isn't going great. Never mind. Let's try with Rental Pollyanna. And it goes much better. Anna dives in to fight the commander, and Rollo kills all the ads. Just like this ad for my Patreon. This one's not sponsored, but hey, if you can't join the Patreon, that's cool, no pressure. It really is the best place to support the channel, and it stops me from having to get a desk job. I like videos every week, the Patreon's how they happen. Anyway, O'Neill goes down, and we get the Commander's Standard. It boosts the damage and defense by 20% for 30 seconds, or 39 with the Old Lord's Talisman. 5% more damage than Golden Vow, 10% more defense. Nobody wants to fight Garunk for a Dragon Smithing Stone, unfortunately. But then I remembered there's one in Faramazula, so that's a +25 Great Stars. On the way to Vari, I had a stupid idea. Bloodflame Blade is inside a beetle, but it would stack with the innate bleed of Great Stars to really get the blood flowing. But if we can't attack it, and we can't summon near it for anything to hit it, and there are no cliffs we can push it off, how do we deal with it? Well, we're gonna take the beetle
And push it somewhere else!
specifically into the part of the lake with the Smaragd fight. You can summon there. We have to push it through an octopus's garden in the shade, but then the beetle is going to be toast. The octopi can't hurt it. Once we send it all the way to the section of the lake with Smaragd, we can summon Flo, and Flo kills it. One of the silliest things we've ever done. I'm very proud of thinking of that. Vari quest now, we get the fingers, and there isn't a way to push the Beastman to death, so I just kind of let him kill us 1, 2, 3 times. He's a great Great Stars Enjoyer, absolutely based. More brilliance here. I wanted the Wild Strike's Ash of War for our Great Stars, which will give the Mimic a lot of extra poise and make the Mimic swing faster. Hopefully, more on that later. But it's in another beetle by Margit's Castle, and there's no cliffs. There is an explosive ballista, and if it shoots us while we're next to the beetle dies too. Brilliant. Now we'll have the Mimic tier take on the Boo with Black Flame, just to hit percentile damage until they're gone. Weirdly, the Noble goes better than the Apostle did, and we're able to heal him up enough that he doesn't lose. The Snail apparently has this big weird grab attack where it like dives down your throat. I'm a little worried our Mimic is. Too stupid to stop that, but thankfully, I'm impressed. Helps to have low standards. And now, we have the Godskin Swaddling Cloth, which heals 3% of your HP when you make a combo. That's 9.9% of our health to the Mimic. Pairs great with Wild Strikes and the Great Stars. Still don't have the strength to actually use it, but that's what Fort Gale is for, or at least the Star Scourge heirloom inside Fort Gale is for, which brings our strength up by 5. Unfortunately, we can't just reset our sets with Renala because, like, come on, we can't get through phase 1 of Renala with the Spirit Ashes. Think about how that would work. No way that's gonna happen. Keep doing the Vari quest, get the sheet from him, and ignore the Sauron Tower to just go a little bit mad. Steal some of Vike's Maiden's blood. We can't quit out while we're invaded, so I guess we'll just cowabunga. And Vike joins us. Well, okay, if we need the Frenzy Spear later, I guess now we have it. That's all we need to go to Mogwin and get the Free Lord's Rune from the Mogwin Cave. Then we'll leave it to open up the Audience Pathway Grace and fight Rykard.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Obviously, Rykard's magma is going to be a huge problem. Even if you give the Mimic the Serpent Hunter, it's too stupid not to be in the magma. So instead, we're going to give the Mimic the Great Stars, the Bull Goat Talisman to avoid being stunned as often by the magma, the Godskin Swaddling Cloth to heal even more on combos, Flame Drake Talisman +2 for 20% less fire damage, and the Star Scourge Heirloom because honestly, I didn't think of this strategy earlier and my stats are bad. Here's the crazy part. It works. In phase 1, at least. In phase 2, Rykard's body is broken. They just fixed his body, so when you hit the body, he took damage. I'd hate this boss 60% less. Worse news. You know Hell phase, when Rykard just decides the ground's gonna explode, the air's gonna explode, and also he's gonna hit you with disjointed sword attacks? Yeah, I thought that activated around half his phase 2 HP, but it turns out it's just like shit he can do whenever. Holy Ground kinda helps, but not really. Hell phase just takes like half the Mimic's HP away. Big bummer. Fun Mimic fact though, if you have consumables in your inventory, the Mimic will use as many as you're holding without actually running out of them. So Frostbite Grease, it helps a bit, but not much. Okay, if Rykard is gonna cheat, we'll cheat too. The rock grease recipe does not come from the merchant in Caelid. Fun fact, you have to cross the Lake of Rot and get the recipe from this chest. Back to the abandoned cave, we get all the butterflies we need for 10 rock grease. Goes a little bit better, but we sent the Mimic in heavy load. It doesn't ruin his rolls because, you know, he'll never roll, but it does affect his stamina. And if we get Godric's Great Rune activated, we'll have enough faith to cast Blessings of the Erd Tree without drinking our flask. The healing over time is great and helps stop the magma chip damage. Hey, so this time Rykard's magma just kinda turns off? Weird. Phase 2 goes better with the rot. The consistent damage from the rot ticks away even when the Mimic can't actually hit the body. By the time the first rot wears off, 40% of his HP is gone. Then the snake starts attacking too, which is awesome because it means Rykard pushes his body forward into the Mimic tier instead of constantly jumping back like a coward. Somehow, in a run where we can't attack and are counting on our Spirit Ash AI, we beat Rykard. Unlocking some really great stuff here. Blasphemous Blade. It heals 30% when you hit with the Ash of War, or 90% of our health to the Mimic. Now we're ready for Malekith, and Mimic will be healing up. Right? No, he's too stupid to use the Ash of War, just dumb as bricks. Oh well, Patches is gone, so we at least can get the Bell Bearing and buy the pickles from the Twin Maidens. 3 more. Can't kill any birds, so we can't make any pickles ourselves, but at least we have these 3. I guess we'll just do all the Membies we can. Moga's next. Rolo has Bleed. It's what the Lord of Blood is weakest to for some reason. He goes back to the old Rolo though, and lets us down again, just absolutely gets his shit rocked. I'm surprised Moog didn't shout out World Star before taking him to town. Just out of curiosity, yeah, the imps did better. Still couldn't win, we had to quit out to save them, but they did better than Rolo. Alas, yeah, we had to go back to the Mimic and stack Bleed and Rot together. Extra sustain from the self-healing paired with the hilarious dodges we're doing by healing and ducking under the trident as part of the animation helped tremendously. We don't have the Eleonora tier, so when phase 2 starts, we need to heal or die. Healing is hard work. but someone has to do it. Mohg is dead. And then we spend the rest of the stream floundering against Malekith for like 40 minutes. I could detail it, but the video's already long and we have one more stream to go at least. I mean, good lord, look at the timestamp. Oh my god, I am gonna be suffering.
Climbing up your wall.
We actually make some progress here, just not against Malekith. Maybe we'll try an easy remembrance boss, like Malenia. But first we need a bit of her brother's secret blend of herbs and spices. The bewitching branches should be called the bitchin' branches, since they turn one of Niall's committed life partners against him.
Bitchin'. Yeah, bitchin'.
Rollo is not bitchin', he flops hard, so we have to come back and use Ditto instead. But Ditto has been smoking a bit of the branches as well and runs into the corner, then tries to fight a wall. What are you doing? Why is this game being so weird today? Third try is the charm. When it all works together like it's supposed to, it all works together like it was supposed to. Ensha doesn't invade us because we've burned down the Erd Tree. If we got a Haligtree piece before that, Ensha would lock us out of ever returning to the Round Table Hold since you can't summon for that fight. So, if you've been struggling with the Ensha fight, first of all, why? But also, just beat the Fire Giant first. Can't beat the Frail Skeleton? Fight an Elder God, it's easy. Hidden Valley Ranch to the Haligtree time, we'll take on the Stray Mimic tier for our consecrated Snowfield encounter. And we're gonna use the +0 Lutau. You see, her spear has Death Blight on it. Only humanoid enemies can be hit by that, except for Gideon. He's immune. And the NPCs in the game, because you can't summon for those. And PvP, outside of the arena, because you can't summon for that. But the Mimic is a human creature, so it should be afflicted by Death Blight. Gonna pop any minute now. It doesn't. Hey Lutau, what's the point of having Death Blight on your spear, sweetie? Literally works on nothing. Rollo does better, and y'all know Rollo is not impressing me lately. At least now we have the Black Flame Monk Amon Spirit Ashes. It's a dude with Black Flame, which is pretty freaking great. Little running through the Mogwin Swamp for everything to max him out. We'll be using him later against Radagon if we ever make it to Radagon, so he gets a +10. And hey, we also found the Haligdrake +2 talisman for 20% more holy defense, which should also work with the Mimic. But let's see how Amon handles Malekith. Poorly. He does poorly, just like everything else does. Shocker. Okay, let's work with some Pokemon we don't have enough badges for again. In the Consecrated Snowfield, we can bring 3 Tentacruels and a Kingler to fight a Dragonite. For some reason though, they are not being cooperative. Lots can go wrong here. Obviously Dragonite can kill us, but also octopuses or the crabs can kill us. More regularly and more frustratingly, the octopus and crab just kinda don't chase us. Or the Magma Worm Magma can stunlock the octopi. But after a few deaths, it drops 200,000 runes. It should drop more, but I forgot to put the freaking Golden Scarab back on. So that's pretty embarrassing. I forgot to bring Rejection through the Liturgical Town. Is that going to be a problem? Yup, I got shot on the ladder because I couldn't knock the archer off. Liturgical Town is over, time for the Haligtree, a quick swag jump, and more importantly, a much more meaty version of Loretta. Earlier, I joked about using the gargoyles against Loretta. Well, I'm no longer joking. I'm the serious, baby. It's so funny how good they are at this fight. She just keeps whipping them. Honestly, she might be worse than the ghost because this one can bleed. What a dork. In LFL, we get our Haligtree encounter, Finlay, or Hoopa. You like rings? She's got rings. Did you know that if you try to heal the Royal Revenant, but it kills you first, you die? Did you know even if you get a few more levels, Malekith's still just gonna kill you a bunch? Casting Mimic does a little bit better, but we don't need to go into all the losses against Malekith. There's too many of them. I guess we'll just go somewhere else. War Dead Catacombs, I guess. We don't have an encounter from Kaled yet. I kind of fear the Putrid Tree Spirit, but beating it blocks a Spirit Ash we absolutely need. Amon has Black Flame. I'm sure he'll do fine. He can't even get rotted.
You actually might end up being a nice little soldier.
But he can get stance broken and does over and over and over again. And we can get rotted when this guy just keeps exploding poop everywhere. It also just has these wild movements. If you're having movements like this, it's time to talk to a dietitian. Still a win, just a sloppy one. There, we get the Ohga Ashes. Now, Ohga is an archer in Radahn's army. Their gender isn't specified, but they need some weed. If you're agender and love weed, maybe try archery. LFL is a great place for weed, but it's also a great place to get killed, like so much. I died trying to grab the Rotten Crystal Sword, then find out, hey, that's an intelligence-based weapon, we can't use it. I don't know why it's intelligence-based, it's just a sword, but okay. Then we die getting the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, die grabbing the runes we lost from the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, die grabbing some Ghost Wart outside, and live long enough to level up Ohga to +10. Why do they get the good stuff? You're gonna see. Malenia can be cheesed with Ohga, kind of. If you just walk up slowly, don't look at her, and walk away, Malenia will keep her aggro on you and get knocked down by Ohga over and over and over again. It's a flawless plan, as long as Ohga doesn't decide to walk forward. I guess their legs were kind of cramped after all that time being a ghost, because they just keep walking. We quit out, try again, they walk. We quit out, try again, they walk again. Maybe we can make this work later, but for now, I guess Malenia is too hard, believe it or not. They'll do a little bit better against Estelle. It's slow, but effective. Obviously, it's kind of nice when the Spirit Ash doesn't take damage. Estelle likes to teleport, though. Eventually, one of those teleportations puts them directly in front of Ohga, who then feels the need to bust out their sword and their shield. It's worse than the bow. Thankfully, Estelle teleports away, and we're back to chipping it down. Takes 8 minutes, but it works. Speaking of holes that stink, let's fall down the sewer and make our way to the deep root depths. Rolo should be able to handle Fia's champs, and he sort of does. The first one goes fine, but God, why does Rogier mess him up so bad? Also, 3-on-1 goes fine, but he actually gets messed up by Lionel after the other two died. Solo Lionel. Why is Lionel throwing hands so hard lately? Easy Memby boss, just light some torches and we can fight the moose. Finlay's up to +4, but the moose is weak to holy damage and she spams those rings. +4 isn't enough though. The moose can heal and stalls us out for about 9 minutes before we just run out of mana. Spirit Ashes are so strong. Like, I know she's not all that leveled up, but this is Nokron. She's not flopping against Mally, she's flopping against the moose, which she has a super effective type advantage against. The Mimic's slightly faster, but this is really just a stally boss, and I'm starting to learn how passive Spirit Ashes are. There's this misconception that they're so aggressive, just as aggressive as the enemy versions of themselves, but they kind of just stand around a lot. I tried to go get Fort Lade to see if we could find the fire prelate with the big hammer for prelate's charge. No dogs allowed though. The Ash of War version of prelate's charge is on a beetle, on a tree. We can't hit a beetle on a tree, so no prelate charge for those wondering. Why no prelate charge? Really just want to respec, but we can't fight Renala, unless... Here's the loadout. Mimic, Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. It has such a huge area, and Phase 1 Renala can only do chip damage. If we can beat Rykard, we can do this. Basically, we have to lead the Mimic around on a 400-foot leash. It's pretty aggressive zapping the kids, but for some reason doesn't consider Renala an enemy. So we need kids to drop near Renala so the Mimic will zap them and incidentally also hit Renala. It works great if a 10-minute Renala Phase 1 is great to you. Phase 2 is a lot better. Renala is the only enemy until she starts summoning more creatures. God, who would do that? Doesn't she know Spirit Ashes are baby easy mode? Embarrassing. 14 minutes since the start of the fight, we finally win. You could honestly start a new game file and beat Renala faster than the Spirit Ash does. Alright, another good Ash of War against Malenia is Eruption. You make a giant ass pile of lava. Bernie left Volcano Manor, but maybe we can pick up his sword.
What are you buying?
Oh god, the sword is a merchant? 1 eruption, please, Mr. Sword? Thank you. Eruption goes on great hammers, like the Great Stars, and has a funky interaction with the healing property. Every tick to an enemy standing in the big pile of lava activates the healing of the Great Stars. Fire is good against Malenia too, and this healing combined with our big healing actually lets our Mimic keep up with her. But keeping up with her means staying at full health, because every time she hits, she heals for 1%, or around 330 HP. The Mimic cannot keep up against that. Okay, try Malekith again. 2 things to report. Lord's Heal heals more per cast than Great Heal. That's still not enough, and we only get 2 casts of it out instead of 3 with the Great Heal, so that's why we use that. Now 2, he can get stuck on the wall and make an earthquake in the air. That's pretty funny. Guess we're going to another stream.
Solution ain't an option, girl.
And we'll do something else, like, I don't know, Carry and Study Hall, Curse Mark of Death. Maybe we can go do Fortisax, but then I got distracted and wanted to try Malenia again. They actually have a word for a type of person who gets distracted easily, can't stick to a single task, and would rather chip away a little bit at several different tasks, switching sporadically. And that type of person is... pretty cool. New strat, let's just try and bait her into a corner and reject her. Hey Malenia, I don't think of you in a romantic way. After she's knocked down, we try and get Ohga out at the right distance so they'll blast, but never walk forward if the distance never changes, because Malenia will just be pinned to the wall. There's not enough time to get as far away as we need without Malenia starting to dash Ohga. RIP. Someone suggested Latenna, who will not work, but okay, sure. I love when people tell me what to do while I'm streaming. I think most streamers do. They're just like, I know I'm holding the controller. I know I literally play this game professionally, but someone should tell me how they would play instead. It's fine. Latenna was probably going to be our Spirit Ash for Lernia anyway. Ohga has to fight a Bloodhound Knight. And if we weren't here, the Knight for sure would have given them the bad touch. And it's Lernia. Ohga is good for some things, but they can't really fight that well on their own. Speaking of archers who are good in some situations, but really can't fight that well on their own, Latenna. Her arrows don't knock Malenia down. Malenia dodges them, so it doesn't work. Respec for more faith and floundered a bit more against Malekith. Let's address another piece of advice from the back seat. Get Tish. Is Tish good? Maybe better than the Mimic even, but she is also locked in an Everjail. You cannot summon for Everjail bosses. You cannot rejecto Electo off the cliff. There is no way to get Tish. She was never and will never be an option for this run. I thought of her first, put a few seconds into thinking of it, and realized we couldn't do it.
I know more than you.
All right.
Look, I don't know everything about this game, but I know quite a bit. Alright, maybe we could go get the Mimic some more distant and speedy lightning spells so they won't stand so close to Malenia in Phase 2. Just bring the Lindell Knight over to the cliff and push him around. We're gonna push you down. And then we have to run all the way down to the cliffside to grab the lightning prayer book. Thank God we can put a marker on the map so I didn't lose where it was. Oh boy, that's gonna cost us a few runes though, so quick little rune farm. Let's kill Placidusax. Despite being a giant lightning dragon, he only has 40% lightning resistance and a big old body that makes Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike super effective. Only issue, the Omega Laser two-shots us. I am trying to bait Placy into the wall, but since we aren't attacking, he keeps turning around and going for the Mimic. By the time his HP is actually low enough for him to use Hyper Beam, he's not tucked enough into the wall to whiff. Third try, actually remember to use Lightning Fortification, which we got earlier, gives us a huge boost to our lightning resistance, and more importantly, the Mimic's lightning resistance. Hyper Beam isn't lightning damage, but we actually get somewhere safe. Since he's taking so long to teleport away, we can let Ditto tank a hit, then heal the mech up while we wait for Placy to land. Third try win. Much less of a headache than I was worried it would be. We buy Honed Bolt and Lightning Spear. They are terrible. This was a bad plan. This is a bad day. It gets so bad that eventually the Mimic can't take it anymore. Malekith does not kill them. Slow this down, Corey. Malekith is aiming at me, and then the Mimic just dies. It jumped off. It's the only thing that could have happened.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
Like, we have seen it get mashed against the edge for minutes at a time, and it will never fall off. It straight up jumped. That's the darkest shit I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. It's not losing a Pokemon. It is the Pokemon losing their will to live. Now, nothing matters, y'all. We lost. I know we've got Spirit Ashes alive. None of them can come close to beating Malekith. So this joins the did not complete tier on the tier list. That's the bottom by the mind only run, which actually I'm going to put it below the mind only run because the only reason the mind only run is a did not complete is because I ran out of time and had to go on a trip. But that's not really a satisfying ending. We're going to test a few more of chat's ideas. We can't get the bird because the bird is behind the Grafted Scion and you can't summon against it. We can't get the 8% incantation boost from Gowry since that requires Millicent dying. We can't kill her without dealing damage to her, and we can't finish her quest without killing the Putrid Tree Spirit in the Rot Pond. So, we keep trying with the Mimic against Malekith, but we don't have to quit out anymore if it seems like it's gonna die. This run starts with us on the bridge, and if it can get knocked off, it absolutely would have fallen off. Like, it's just getting constantly hit next to the ledge and not falling off. Phase 2, we run in to get Mally to aim at us for a little bit. This ends up being a win, and it only took 3 more tries after the loss.
This is a bummer, man.
Here's something to cheer you up. The Mimic can use Unbreakable Madness on Gideon. It's so funny, y'all. Like, he just doesn't let Gideon get away. It is chain grab after chain grab, based and Zangief pilled. I can't even imagine how maddening that must be for Gideon, pun fully intended. Godfrey next, and he pretty much just beats the shit out of the Mimic mercilessly, absolutely goes sicko mode. We're the one who dies, but the Mimic was doing poorly. We'll try it again with faster spells on the Mimic, and it goes better, but phase 1.5 is rough. Those shockwaves are pretty much Spirit Ash destroyers. Wild how many checks there are in this game for Spirit Ashes. Like, every late game boss has a big AoE, or another way to shred down the HP of a creature that can't dodge or block. It's almost as though they were supposed to lessen the impact of Spirit Ashes, making them a fun and balanced, interesting mechanic. Wild. Phase 2 is worse than Phase 1. I'll never find out what it's like to be chain grabbed like Gideon was. But the Mimic gets to. They just can't get out of Daddy's strong hands and forearms. Now, what could be worse than shockwaves or chain grabs? Shockwaves and chain grabs. Healing actually draws Godfrey's aggro though, and it looks like the Mimic might pull this out. We don't have any blue juice left. Mimic is all on their own, and they do it. I'm so proud. Now, Amon was specifically picked up for Radagon and the Elden Beast, but is he strong enough? Not quite. even with stuff to specifically counter these two. Fire damage and percentile health damage, he's not enough. Some of his combos are spicy, but most of the time he's just getting stun locked by explosive hammer swings. And the Spirit Ash Destroyer. It's that move with the netted lasers on the ground that Spirit Ashes are too stupid not to stand in. Despite all the salt I'm throwing at Amon here, he does make it to phase 2. Elden Beast is pretty decent. It's slow enough though that we can more than keep up with the healing duties. Until we lose our blue flasks. Then, yeah, Amon wouldn't be able to live. The Mimic tier can be Amon at home. Just put some Black Flame spells on him. Actually, it's better homemade, though that kind of works with the meme when you think about it, right? Like, can we get McDonald's? And we have McDonald's at home. The food you make at home is going to be better than McDonald's. McDonald's is just convenient and fast. Thanks to all our good, slow home cooking and the power of Black Flame and Holy Fortification for a huge boost to the Holy Defense, the Mimic is able to kill God. So technically, this run is possible if you want to say the Mimic died to a glitch when it fell, and then we would have won. But I don't care. We lost. This is a failure. Let's see what else we could do. I honestly need these Fia hugs today. It's been a rough one. This is actually day 5, so it hasn't been my day, my week, although the year's going great. Channel's doing well. Thanks for the support, everyone. Ohga is one of our friends. And they shoot stuff. Fortisax's stuff, and sometimes Ohga will just dome that dragon. Sometimes they hit the body instead. And sometimes Fortisax gets too close and they pull out the sword. But most of the time, they're going to shoot. Even when 40 is right next to them, I think it's a height thing, like it puts the lock on target far enough away by lifting it into the air maybe. I don't know, it works fine. Idea I heard, use Kristoff. He was going to be our Altus Spirit Ash and I just didn't want to go back for the Grave Warden Duelist, but I'm not even going to try and do that. Malenia heals with chip damage through shields, so even if you block 100% of her damage, she still heals. Kristoff will just have his shield up and she'll be healing infinitely. Now, we've floundered a bunch against Malenia, but I'm going to save you all some time. This video's already long. Eventually, I just got kind of sick of people suggesting Latenna after already demonstrating why Latenna wouldn't work, so I just left her out until she died. That kind of starts a waterfall. Black Flame Monk next. She's weak to fire. She's got a lot of health. It's not enough. She barely takes any damage. Oh no, Amon died. Rolo does okay. Okay is getting her to like 90% of her max health before she slurps him up like a juice box. Imagine being defeated by Lifelink. Yeah, that's an MTG reference. I recently started playing Magic the Gathering, so I need your Patreon support more than ever. Next suggestion, you can just parry Malenia infinitely. Obviously, not really. If you parry her, she's annoyed, but she doesn't aggro to you unless you hit her. And parrying has a window where the hit has to be against the shield at a certain place, and it doesn't really work if she's not aiming at you. More importantly though, I'm bad at parrying. Flo died. Now someone suggested Finlay could rot her. Malenia is Goddess of Rot, so obviously she's weak to rot. If Moog, Lord of Blood, is weak to bleed, that's a logical conclusion. Finlay died, someone suggested the Rot Dog, it died. And then after the dog died, someone suggested we use Ohga. Did you know Ohga can cheese Malenia? I didn't. I did. We were already doing that. All I have to do is not turn around. I am Orpheus escaping Hades. As long as I don't turn around, she won't hit me. Just let Ohga hit her over and over again. Honestly, she's so stupid. Just walking forward, getting shot, and falling down. Why is her AI so weak that she can't just figure out how to avoid the arrows and,
She's standing right behind me, isn't she?
waterfouled? Okay, this one's gonna hurt. Fanged imps, little Minen and Plusle, Bart and Lisa, they've been with us from the beginning and they hit above their weight class literally every time they fought. So would you believe that these two are actually the ones who let us beat Malenia? You shouldn't, you fool. We can't really say everything is over until they die though, so they have to die. Final idea, Blasphemous Blade, Ash of War. Taker's Flame heals 10% of the max HP, so if we respec for the stats for more strength and only mostly faith for the fire damage, it will hit as hard as possible. And the Mimic will heal like 30% of our max HP. Why doesn't the Mimic tier simply use Taker's Flames? Are they stupid? Yes. The damage is actually okay thanks to the fire, but none of it stays up. It's just not gonna outdamage the self-healing. The Mimic dies. Technically, we walled out on Malekith for way longer, but we were making it to phase 2 regularly, and there was a path to victory. We are not even making a dent into Malenia's first phase. Frankly, Malenia is an impossible boss. The Mimic tier is the strongest thing in the game, and will carry anyone through the game without any skill on their end. Nothing in this game even comes close to that level of power. Elden Ring added a bunch of new things to the Souls formula. Juice Box, you can press for 20% more damage for 3 minutes, stance pressure to stop bosses from moving, and explosive Ashes of War that not only deal insane damage but also provide you so much healing you can forget to bring the right amount of healing flasks and still be fine. But none of that makes the game too easy, apparently. Only Spirit Ashes do, because they distract bosses do a little bit of damage, and give you safer healing windows. They're too good. No, Spirit Ashes are fun, but they are by no means gonna solve the problems of the game. If you use Spirit Ashes, good news, you're still a real gamer. They're part of the game and they're fun. No one ever gets mad at Bloodborne players for using the gun. The gun makes Bloodborne easier. But if you make them the only part of the game, it's gonna be harder and not as fun. Use Spirit Ashes, but also get in there yourself. That's the most fun way to play the game. Do a little bit of both. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, think about joining the Patreon. It's a nice way to support us since we get to keep most of the money there. Follow me on Twitch if you want to watch these runs live. We find new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video.